Hey guys, welcome once again to Learn Math with me, Brian Sapinski. And this is a special on the road video that I wanted to shoot today because it's actually kind of sort of a sad, reflective day for me in a sense. I'm up in Pocono Pines, Pennsylvania, and the house that you see behind me, I'm trying to obscure a little bit because I don't want to expose any license plates or whatever, but that's just me. The house that you see behind me, it's in a private community known as Timber Trails up here in the Pocono Pines neighborhood. And my family has had this house for 40 years. They first got it in 1979, and on the day that I'm shooting this on October 5th, 2019, sort of a sad day because this day that I'm up here is actually the very last time I'm going to be up here because this coming week we found, my parents anyway found a buyer for this house, and so as of next Friday, it's no longer going to be ours. So all of the family, you know, my parents, of course, since they've been up here, but myself, my wife Andrea, and our kids, my brother Craig and his wife and kids, and my sister Tracy, along with her son, we're all up here just kind of having like, sort of one last hurrah or whatever. And I mean, it's like I had a lot of great memories about being up here in the Poconos. I mean, we're going to try, again, to try to sort of find other ways to be up here and sort of like that. But I mean, like, had a lot of personal memories in terms of, just place that we go. Used to have there's a pizza place a little down in Blakesley called Pizza Como. Used to go there a lot. They used to have an arcade there when we were kids and stuff like that. That while we're waiting for the pizza, we'd have that, and a couple of different mini golf courses. There was the couple of towns over in the yeah a couple towns over. There was a casino theater ice cream parlor we always used to love a lot. So ever and going home, at least when I was a kid, favorite memory of favorite memory would be like every time we'd come home, every summer weekends when we come up here, we'd always drive through Stroudsburg when we'd come home, and there used to be a Ponderosa Steakhouse in the heart of Stroudsburg. You remember back when those existed? Yes, I'm old, or old enough. And no, we'd always stop there on the Sundays, coming home and things like that. You know, nowadays, a lot of those places are long gone. The biggest stop when we come up here would be in a few towns over in Tannersville. They have the crossings outlet malls. You want get some good shopping done. Yeah, head for the crossings. Always good. But in this being my last time, up here, at least in, a normal family house capacity, I was kind of, thinking to myself, like, going back and forth from where I live in Southbrook, New Jersey, to up here in Pocono Pines. I was trying to think to myself, just like how like how much of a travel, how much of a distance have I actually, gone in all these years? And then just to extend upon a little bit, I was wondering a little further if I were to take that, if I were to take all those trips back and forth, and let's say I were to lay them out side by side. You hear about this sort of question that people ask a lot, however, like how would it take me around the world? And if so, how many times and stuff like that. So I did a little I did a little math work on it, and here's what I ended up coming up with. Okay. From where I'm in Southbrook to here in Pocono Pines, it's 90 miles one way. So that means that you have 180 miles round trip. So what I figured was that from the time when my family first got this house when I was 1 year old, up through the summers that I spent up here, when up until the time that I met my wife Andrea, and the last summer. that I was alone, I was 18. So you figure that was 18 total, you know, calendar years. And I estimated that, you know, give or take, we probably came up here as a family at least, you know, 10 times every year. Might have been a little bit more, not entirely sure, but I figured 10 was a good estimate. So, so 180 miles at, yeah, round trip. 10 times a year for 18 years. Then when I met Andrea, my time coming up here was a lot less. I figured me and Andrea would always come together, and we usually come up like we figured maybe 2 or 3 times a year for a number of years. So I cut it down the middle and called it 2.5. And we did that for the next 11 years, okay, through from ages 19 through 29 for myself. And then after I turned 30, that's when Andrea first got pregnant with Brianna. So we started, you know, cutting down our visits a little bit more. We figured up until now about, you know, 1 or 2 times a year we sort of adjusted to. So I called that 1.5, and that lasted for these last 12 calendar years. So when I did all the multiplication and put it all together, you know, I was curious coming into this exactly how many miles that would, you know, log up. As it turns out, it ends up counting up to a grand total of 40,590 total miles by my best estimate. And as it turns out, that is well more than enough to be able to circumnavigate the world, you know, traveling along the equator. The the equatorial distance around the world is 24,901 miles approximately, which means doing the division, that means that if I laid all of these estimated trips that I've taken from Jersey to Poconos and back, and laid it all out like that, that means that I would have covered enough distance to travel around the world along the equator about 1.63 times. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. And it's actually interesting. Yeah, you kind of take for granted all the times that you do travel and stuff like that. You never stop to think like, you know, you think like, oh yeah, it's a long trip. Yeah, it takes a couple hours to, you know, to drive there and back or however long it takes, but it's like you never sort of really reflect on like just how much time and how much of a distance have you actually really spent on the road. It's pretty reflective, and it gives you something to think about for, you know, for yourself in terms of your own travels. You should give it some thought yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this little reflection of mine as I, look upon my my life and my years in the Poconos, my second home, with great fondness, and hope to see you soon. As always, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and send me, you know, your thoughts and reflections. Leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you soon, guys. Take care.